to give us a welcome address.
Thank you very much, President. Professor Chairman, Chairman of CSIR Governing Council, Professor Adabo, Adabo, the representatives of the presidential candidate or the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, CSIR directors, deputy directors, president of the CSIR Research Staff Association, president of other research staff association, i.e. GAIC, and all others that were invited, scientists, research staff, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the media, all protocol observed. Good morning. As the chairman of the planning committee said, we have gathered here at the auditorium of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences on the courtesy of the Research Staff Association of the CSIR. This is part of the Presidential Dialogue Series regarding the 2024 elections and the ultimate goal of selecting an individual and his team to steer the affairs of this country for at least the next 4 years. The manifesto is on science, technology, and innovation. And what we want to do, what we want to hear is what the candidates and their parties have as far as or as long as the science, technology, and innovation aspect of this country is or are concerned. We have heard, rather unfortunately, that the presidential candidate himself did not make it or could not make it, and his running mate also did not or could not make it. Unfortunate as that may be, we are comforted with the fact that they have not completely ignored our call, but they have brought in or seconded very able individuals to come in and stand in for them and to tell us all that they would have told us. So this morning, we are all ears to listen to what the NDC would have to tell us as CSIR, as Research Staff Association, or as the scientific community in this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we always hear that science and technology and innovation are or is the engine of growth of any country. I want us to remember, all of us, that this should not be a cliche. We really have to make meaning out of that. As a country, we all know that we cannot achieve any meaningful development if we play down on STI. All our lofty programs and plans and initiatives cannot get anywhere if we not proactively and actively involve science and technology, fully integrated into all aspects of the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is often said that the poverty gap is a technology gap. How true that statement is. Countries that have invested substantially into STI are always ranked high up in the Global Innovation Index. And it shows with their GDPs. If you take whether the first 5 countries, the first 10 countries, the first 20 countries on the what do you call it? GDP scale or the GII scale, it is always strongly correlating with countries that have invested substantially into their STI programs. Therefore, this morning, our expectations are many. Professor Puni has already told us about that. But our key agenda is that we want to interact with the NDC. On my paper here, I've underlined interact with NDC because originally I had written interact with the presidential candidate of the NDC. Suffice it, we'll interact with the NDC. We want them to tell us what they mean by the manifesto title, Resetting Ghana, Jobs, Accountability, and Prosperity. For now, we assume that we don't understand it. So we are here to let them tell us. Of course, we have heard bits and pieces of those. We've heard about the 24-hour economy. I'm sure we'll hear more about that. We've heard about the Women's Development Bank. I'm sure we'll hear more about that. And we have heard many others in the advert, on TV, on radio. Today, we'll hear from the horse's own mouth, or the mouth that the horse has brought. We'll hear from them, and then we will take it from there. It is not about CSIR, though this program is organized by the CSIR, and the RSA president said it. The chairman of the committee also said it. It is about Ghana. It is about development. It is about our people. CSIR is Ghana's foremost scientific research institution. We want to know what is the role of CSIR in all this economic agenda. What role do we have to play? We are playing a role, but in the next 4 years, beginning January 7, 2025, what would we be asked to do and what can we do? We want to know that. We want to know what other institutions, like the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, the various academic research institutions, what do we have to do? What do you have to ensure that we are fully integrated in the process of developing this country? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing my talk, my welcome address to an end. I want to urge all of us here. This is an interaction. We want to know what is going on. This is not a fight, far be it. This is a forum. We want to share ideas. We want to hear from NDC, and we'll hear from the other candidates later on. We want to hear their plans. We want them to be ready to take our suggestions also and integrate it in the programs that they would implement should they be approved by Ghanaians for leadership in the next 4 years or so. We thank you all very much for coming. And once again, I welcome you to the CSIR RSA Presidential Dialogue Series. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my DG, Prof. Paul Pinnock Bosu. He has said it all, and I must say that we all wished that we had seen His Excellency, former President John Dramani Mahama here. And yesterday it was very disappointing for some of us, but we hope to still make headway. When life gives you lemons, they say you make lemonade. So we will try and make lemonade out of the lime that we have. And then before we move on to the next item, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the CSR Institute directors who are here. Can we just see their hand up as I know we have the director of CCST, the president of CCST here. Prof, we salute you. Thank you so much for the support. The director of OPRI, Oil Palm Research Institute in Kade, he's also here. Prof Danso, that means that the prof is coming. Now everyone here is prof. So thank you very much for the support. And I know all the others who are supporting us in diverse ways are here. We also have the CSR unions, the CAG, the SSA, Senior Staff Association, the TUC of CSR, they are all here supporting us. And then we also have the media. I cannot forget to mention, particularly GBC has been very pivotal. I must say that it could have been better than we are seeing today, but they are still here. GBC, thanks so much for the support, and I believe that we will have a very wonderful engagement even in future. Be informed that it's being streamed live. As I speak, it's everywhere, and people are watching. So kindly sit well if you're not sitting well. A fantastic opportunity for you. On this note, I'm very much humbled that we have our council chair. When we talk of CSR Council, the board chair is here. And he is in no other person but our own professor, Robert Kingsford Adabo. And he wants to say a word to us. Prof, please, you have the floor to just say a few words to us, because it will not be nice that we don't hear from our own council chair. So please give it up to him as he comes to share one or two words with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for a fantastic job. Good morning. Everyone is welcome. A lot of things that I wanted to say, I think my DJ has outlined most of them. A lot of things that were on my mind. I think, first of all, I use the opportunity to thank our RSA, Research Staff Association, for organizing this. It's a very unique occasion. Allowing a platform to engage our leaders, those who are hoping, vying for leadership to rule this country for next coming 4 years. So I think RSA, congratulations, this is well thought of. As council, we support this engagement of dialogue with prospective potential leaders of this country coming the next 4 years. Many a times, most of our lamentation has been seemingly let's say, people in authority not giving science the needed platform to operate. We've been told that STI in all countries that are doing well has been on science. Any country that has developed, it's not on business. It's the science that will bring the business. People seem to forget. The science will bring the business. Science innovation will provide the products to do business. We are a country that is a developing country. We have a lot of raw materials. How do we add value to this? How do we just make sure that our imports are checked and we do more exports, adding value to our primary goods? That is what science is all about. And if politicians, people in power think that science has no place, they themselves have no place. Because science, sometimes we used to hear science, business is the engine of growth. And when I heard that, I told myself, that is wrong. Like DJ said, science is the engine of growth. STIs, we have looked at the manifestos. I've scanned through both parties' manifestos. Maybe what is not told may be much more louder than what is seen there. Possibly, they are here to tell us. And honestly, when I look into the manifesto of the present one that is going to be talked about, I don't see much for any serious platitude for CSIR and science in Ghana in particular. What am I talking about? We are talking about looking at this country, how the basic research, applied research, and then technology, innovation, STIs, STEM, none. So what is our place? And when you talk about National Research Fund, what has been the trajectory? I hear it's in Parliament and may be there forever. When we go out there to solicit engagement with politicians, they behave as if we don't exist. So ladies and gentlemen, again, I think that this is a very wonderful opportunity to hear from them what they will tell us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council Chair, Prof. Robert Kingsford Adabo, for such insightful thoughts on STI. Let me also acknowledge the presence of sister institutes, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, the Research Scientists Association, they are here. Just if you can just be upstanding so we know how, with your hands, fantastic. Thank you so much for the support. Some of you might have seen the press release on Galamsey, and I think that you saw their names. They've been very pivotal in this fight. We are here for peace. It's not partisan. We are, as much as possible, promoting the fact that everyone will have a fair opportunity to present their case, in as far as science, technology, and innovation is concerned. So please, let's have that at the back of our mind in whatever we are doing. Let me also acknowledge some of the CSR Institute directors. Dr. Ansa, thank you very much. He's the director of the Animal Research Institute at Frafraha. It's been fantastic. My own Dr. Helmina Kwe is also here, director of STEPRI, then also director of OPRI, my senior man, PGRI, sorry, OPRI. I don't know why you are still, we were studied very well. Dr. Daniel Ashikote, he is the director of the Plant Genetic Resources Institute based in Bunsu in the Eastern region. So thanks so much. You've come a long way to be part of this. The corporate directors of CSR, they are here. My own Dr. William Safo, the director of finance. I salute you for all the support. And our madam, Genevieve Yankee, director of administration, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much. I know Safia Hajia is also here, and all the others. We can't stop mentioning your names, but as the opportunity comes, we will surely do that. So all protocol observed, and at this juncture, we would want to go straight into the presidential dialogue, and I want to hand over to my brother, Darrell, to take over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. Shadrach. My name is Darrell Alantego. I work for the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I am going to co-MC with Dr. Shadrach. You'll bear with me if you find my accent a bit funny, but that's what happens to you if you decide to stay way too long on the other side. My job would have been pretty short if the presidential candidate had been around. All of us know him. I would have just mentioned him and we're gone. But he's not here. As Prof said, the horse is not here, but his mouth is here. So we'll hear from the horse's mouth. To engage for the dialogue section, may I humbly ask Dr. Justina Onuma to come up stage and take her seat. Shall we do it better for her, please? Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you so very much, Dr. Justina. And here comes the moment where my job would have been done. I would have just said, shall we, with a round of applause, welcome His Excellency, and then that's it. My job is done. But either way, I'll do it. Thank you very much. And so there are quite a few things I would want to put out before our guest comes to engage us. A friend journalist told me some time ago that Ghanaian politicians will tell you what they will do, except that it's hidden in their manifesto. Until you interrogate it, they have told you. Whether you read it or not, they have told you. And so today, thanks to CSR, we're going to have them actually tell us, not look for it from their manifesto. This personality, first of all, is a mother. Shall we give it up to her? She's a mother and a wife, and she's one of the main pillars, if not the main pillar, in the science and technology aspect of the NDC manifesto. And so don't be too worried. You are going to have her and throw every one of the science areas at her. She joined the university. Let me start from here. First of all, she is with the University of Ghana, not too far from here. She joined the university in 2018 as a senior lecturer, became an associate professor of physics in 2021. Rose to the rank of a full professor in 2023, has 60 publications under her belt. Shall we clap for that? 60 publications. I'm trying one, and it's taking me over 2 years. I haven't been able to put one out yet. 60 is quite a long way. She has supervised 12 PhDs, 26 MPhils or MScs, 8 undergraduates under her belt. And she's currently vice chair, working group, intergovernmental panel on climate change. She is also the lead author of the IPCC Site Assessment Report. And finally, she's a board member of UNESCO International Basic Sciences Program and the head of Department for Physics, as I've mentioned earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we, with a round of applause, if you can afford to stand, let's welcome Professor Nana Ama Brown-Kluche. Shall we please do it better for her? And then at this point, I'll say, Doctor, my work is done. Take over.
Please, let's put our hands together once again. This is going to be a very interesting dialogue. I actually indicated that we are being set against each other, two academics. But today is going to be, she said I should do whatever I wish to do with her. So yes, we are going to really dissect the manifesto, and then to also join us, we have Professor Otin Abebio, who is also one of the key manifesto bodies for the STI component of the NDC. So please, let's put our hands together for Professor Otin Abebio. The clap was a bit lower. Can you do it better? Yeah, to be a professor is not easy. We are all trying to crawl. So we know how it feels like. You are most welcome, our abled representative of the presidential candidate of the 2024 NDC, presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama. We are most grateful for their presence here. And to actually set the stage for this morning's discussion, I would like to have a very brief, kind of a satiric, and it's just a question that it's been bothering my mind trying to ask how we think it's fascinating with how research and policies behave like estranged siblings. You understand, like siblings who are very important to the function of a household. But then in the end, sometimes we find that either they are on very low speaking terms, and that has always been the characteristic between research and politics, or let's say research and policy. So while researchers are there in their labs, in their field, doing groundbreaking research, we also see that policymakers are actually focusing on their manifestos and their slogans, because apparently that is what will push them to the next government and to win the next elections. And they both operate like as parallel universe. One which one almost policymakers are on strict information diet. So information diet here means it looks as if policymakers do not want research evidence. And it also looks as if researchers are also not going closer enough to the policymakers. Perhaps this might be a very huge assumption. Perhaps we are also spot on in trying to assume this. And this is why today's dialogue is very important. As the Director General said, also very right echoed by our council chair, we really want to see what is in it for the CSIR, for community on their manifesto. So will today's event be the beginning of moments where science not only gets seats at the table, we don't want to get seats at the table, but we really want to be invited to dinner to really shape policies and programs, and to really shape your manifestos as well. We don't want to do this. We want to be there when the manifestos are being developed so that we can shape the direction of how we want our economy to run. So CSIR, by organizing this dialogue, is actually a proof that the society is ready to bridge the science politics gap, and it's time for government and politicians to recognize that we are not estranged siblings, but valuable partners, especially in driving national development through research. So we are here to discuss how, if voted into power, the NDC administration can help rewrite this. So my first question that I would really like to ask before I sit down, it goes to both of you. I would have asked the former president the same question. How do you value research? And how do you see the role of the research community in driving national development? We've seen a lot of effort. It's like government just pay our salary as researchers, and we go out there to look for funds from donor agencies to be able to conduct research. Why are we not committing to research? And how is the NDC positioning itself to be able to change this narrative? And then we can begin with this and then we continue. Thank you very much. Now I can take my seat.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and good morning, Prof. Dabo. Very good morning. First, let me sincerely apologize on behalf of the former president, who would have wished to be with us. He's currently stuck somewhere in Kenya. That's why we have to stand in for him. And I guess we are not bad representatives. I chaired the manifesto writing committee on the environment, which includes technology. So I'm averse with everything in there. We have discussed this severally, and whatever comes from us is a representative of what NDC stands to do. So that's just for the status. The question that you asked. So the NDC has a conviction that all policy that is not underpinned by research is bound to incur collateral damage. Every policy. Policies that are based on people's whims and caprices are bound to fail. And we are witness to many of them over the years. We can't go on doing things as we have done over the years. So in terms of moving forward, that's why NDC is seriously thinking about getting this research fund passed. Passed because most of us, and I've worked extensively with CSR, colleagues from CSR, we do get funding from outside. Unfortunately, most of these fundings come with their own objectives and set criteria, which might not necessarily be in line with what Ghana wants. But because the funding agency has set the objectives for you, and you need the funding to work with, you have to oblige. So most of the time, the research that we do might not necessarily always be in tune with our needs. If we can scale that barrier, then there should be a conscious effort on the part of government to put money aside for research. And the government is committed in doing that. I'm not very sure how much we want to commit into that. But that could be a dialogue that we can all have. But the essence of having the fund for research purposes is something we cannot joke with. And there's something that we are committed in doing. I think that's what I would say.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, Madam Moderator, my friend. I call her my friend. And thank you all for the audience granted to us. I'm particularly happy to be here, to be engaging on the Manifesto on Science, Technology, and Innovation. As most of you know, I am a scientist. Professor Otia Bebio is a scientist. I want to acknowledge our colleague here, Professor Benedicta Fosu Mensah. She's also a scientist. And yeah, thank you. And many of us scientists have served on the NDC manifesto. And so you can be rest assured that we put our best in the manifesto. So as I said, I'm happy to be here to be engaging on this theme. First, I know the issues because I've worked in the science space all my life, I would say. I worked with the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, specifically at the Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute. So the NDC's commitment to science is high and it has been demonstrated over the years. So under the NDC, we established the Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute. Actually, I'm a founding member for the establishment. So that's a huge commitment to science. In science in general, the NDC in the manifesto propose an ambitious investment into basic sciences and applied sciences. It is very clearly spelled out in the NDC manifesto. It's online and you can all have access to that. So Prof had mentioned the research fund. That is different, completely different from our, the BRA, the research allowance that we receive, completely different. So the research fund, the NDC will put in the effort to operationalize the research fund, and it's purposely for our science research. So as Prof said, that is to help us direct our research to our needs, especially the use of our natural resources, convert it to a meaningful product for our benefit. So we need, or our effort is to improve our science, technology, and innovation into our natural resources for socio-economic gains. And thus, the NDC is committed in doing that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Kluche, for that enlightenment as well. I don't know whether you are completely digested. It's very clear on things to promote research-driven sectors, especially in agriculture, industry. They talk a lot of digitalization, youth unemployment, and everything. And it appears that they have this very large program, that is a Feed Ghana program, which has very strong implication for research. And the government intends to also depend on research institutions to reprogram by resourcing research institutions to conduct basic and applied research, as she said. Now, these are very commendable, but we still beg to say that it is not enough concrete actions put in there. This is why we are saying this. When you move to page 83 of their manifesto, they are very specific on an amount that they want to donate or establish the Digital Innovation Fund. So they state that the NDC is very specific, so say, and I quote, establish a $50 million fintech growth fund to promote the growth of digital entrepreneurs and support indigenous fintech companies. But when you come to the research fund, it's research fund. Are we understanding? So there is this huge, emphatic, direct commitment to the Innovation Fund. But when it comes to the National Research Fund, all they say is that we will establish and operationalize the National Research Fund to reduce over-reliance on donor funding research in Ghana. There is no commitment. We cannot hold government to this. But then if those in the digital space can actually hold government to this $50 million that they have indicated, but we are sitting here and then we just have statements that the National Research Fund will be operationalized. To what extent, to what magnitude, how can we pinpoint, and how can we measure you to the promise that you are saying? So how are we really sure that it's not just rhetorics?
So thank you very much. I recall one of our meetings, this issue came up. Already the Finance Committee had earmarked 5% of the GDP for the research fund. Then a question was asked, how much is 5% of the GDP? And you don't even know the GDP, so how do you then give a percentage to? That's why in my submission, I said that we would need to, how much we would dedicate to that would come out from our dialogue. Remember, the flag bearer have said that should he win, he will hold a national dialogue within 30 days to look at the economy. And it is hoped that at that dialogue, we would all have a fair idea what is in the national kitty and what should go where. But tentatively, if I were to repeat what came up there, they were looking at something like 5% of the national, the GDP. But then because we did not know how much 5% will be, we put it into suspense, hoping that when, and remember, we are now in the process of preparing the implementation plan, which actually speaks to the nitty-gritty of the manifesto. And the essence of the beauty of this meeting, is that some of these things will feed into our implementation plan to enable us to be very specific on some of these issues. But I agree with you, it is true.
So let me just add to what Prof had said. We know that currently they passed an act for 0.5% for space science research alone. So we are very sure of a good percentage into science research in general. So if 5% is going into research in general, then we are sure of science research having a good percentage other than the 0.5%.
Thank you very much. I don't know about you all, but I think that 5% is over-ambitious because the problem is that the Maputo Declaration, which actually entrenched nation states to give 1% of their GDP to support research, it has never been materialized. It's over 10 years that the Maputo Declaration was given. But then NDC has been in power before, MPP have been in power before. We've never seen research fund exceeding even 0.4%. No, exactly, not even 0.1. So if you are setting a target of 5%, are you just making us excited? Or it's actually real? Is it something that we should believe and we should hold you for?
Yes, so thank you for the question. I think we are all scientists, and for me, my cry, my issue has always been using science for development. As the introduction went, if we are not ambitious with our science research, I don't see us getting into development in any way. The fact that other countries have decided and have not been able to achieve it doesn't mean that we as a country cannot. We have a lot of natural resources. We have so many environmental issues to deal with. If we don't approach this ambitiously with science, we see going nowhere near development. And as a developing state, we need to be ambitious, we need to target and then move towards those targets. And that is why we have discussed the 5% of our GDP into research in general.
Okay, let's put our hands together for them.
Perhaps,
and we can
I just make a quick intervention? I did mention that when this issue came up, we raised the same issue. And the finance committee suggested the 5%. A question of asked, how much will be 5% of the GDP? And that put it into that ambience. And we are hoping that when it's possible to discuss the whole national kitty, then we can come up with an appropriate, befitting figure for research, which we are committed into doing.
Thank you very much. We wish you luck on that. And I'm also very curious to know what the FinTech group and then the digital community did for them to have that concrete figure. Maybe it's for another discussion, but is this something that we are not doing right as a research community, that you now need to now come back to us to now dialogue to see what percentage or what amount of fund that will go into the National Research Fund. But then for the digital economy, you are so emphatic. Probably they did something that we did not do, and we'll be happy to know, so that next time before your manifesto come out, we will be, so that we can charge, and then we'll have that concreteness for a fund towards NRF. Because we don't want to come back here in the next 4 years, and I don't even want to see this as coming in the next 4 years. This should be a dialogue that should always continue, not just because you want power, but then even within power, you still want to dialogue with us to really see how this National Research Fund can really be operationalized. You have something to add, or we can move on to the next question?
Yeah, I mean, just to say that FinTech is, I'm not in a position to speak for that project, but what I know is a project that, we have to cost it. It's like, we also plan to train, I think, 1 million data entry. That is something that you can cost. Once you have a figure,
you can cost research.
You can cost research. You can estimate how much you will need.
Yes.
Yes.
And we need that, how much we need for you to put in there.
And that is what we are in a dialogue of reaching a consensus.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together for them. Yeah. So moving straight with that, I would just want to find out whether you are aware that the CSIR internally is generating fund, and we have the CSIR Science for Impact Fund. Are you aware of something like that? You are, okay. And if you are aware, I don't know how far you've heard and how far you want to commit. If your president was here, I would have really loved it. Because now I'm sure you're going to tell me you're not the president, so you can't commit to it. But then, we just want to understand how internally, because yes, we want you. You can't live here without contributing to the fund, really, because this is a platform that we are, and you can see behind you, exactly. You can see behind you, there's the donation. You can see our ladies even in the T-shirts. So you cannot leave this podium without contributing to the fund. And in fact, I asked the team to bring the pledge card. I wish they did. So that here and now, we can know that at least individually, you're also pledging to support the CSR Science for Impact Fund. But it is something that we would love for you to take it into your discussions. That internally we are raising this fund, it's called an endowment, it's an endowment fund to support research, all because government is not supporting us. So we need to also, by our own ingenuity, create this fund to support research. So thank you very much for that discussion on research. And now we want to move into visibility. So when you look at the CSR strategic plan, there is a huge, one of the thrusts is to increase the visibility of the CSIR. and the scientific community, I think for GAIEC, everybody can actually relate to. And though we really contribute to developing STI policies, which my institute is one I'm proud of, the Science and Technology Policy Research Institute, led by my director, Dr. Wohiminakwe. Please let's put our hands together for her, thank you. So the Science and Technology Policy Research Institute, year in, year out, lead the revision and the development of the STI policies. So we know that there is some kind of interaction, there is some kind of linkage between research and policy development. But the challenge that we also face is the continuity of interventions. How is the NDC ensuring? Because recently the CSIR STEPRI, we've evaluated one of government programs, and then we see the path that is taken to really actualize its impact. And because it's a government program and more or less like a political manifesto program, we fear that once another government takes power, like the NDC, either you're going to collapse it or you're going to Are you ensuring continuity of programs to be able to drive, that consistent research evidence to lead you to say that we will need to sustain this kind of program? Because our research evidence from that program is actually leading us to something positive. So how are you ensuring continuity of such programs, even though it might not be your initiated program? Because that is one of the challenges we are facing in this country, continuity of programs. Each government comes, each government goes, and then they develop their new strategies. Is there a plan for the NDC to sustain programs and projects?
So, just to quote from the Pragma's mouth, he has said severally that whatever project that he meets, he would make sure he continues with it. But just to my personal experience with CSR, I said I've worked with a lot of colleagues of yours, Dr. Kofi, Dr. Alote. One of my students was from here, Prince Jeche Gebi. I was so enthused, attended by the former Minister for Environment, Professor Frimpong, when he started equipping CSIR. I thought that it was a move that was in the right direction, because the contribution of the unit is huge. And once we are out there, collaborate with you, we do get a number of resources. So I think that whatever is good, we should all share together and make sure we continue, and which we shall push. Fortunately, most of us in the manifesto realm, as far as technology, are all in the same soup, so we understand the language.
Thank you. Prof, do you have something to add?
Yeah, thank you. So, on December 7th, after the election, government will change anyways. Whether it changes to NDC or it changes to MPP, it still changes. The administration will change. So, you don't expect what is going well to be stopped by any government. And as I've mentioned earlier on, the NDC has demonstrated its commitment to science research in many ways. CSIR is big, and the Science Research Association is very big in the country. So there's no way we're going to stop a program that is running well. I mean, there's no way the NDC government will do that. We'll rather improve upon what is there or support for a better or more sustainable growth. So for sustainability of projects, be rest assured that you only get a support, but not to be stopped from doing what you have to do. And we know the level of autonomy you have as a research institutions, both CSIR and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission and other research institutions in the country. So you have your autonomy as you always have, and gets the support from government to move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the sweet assurance. And I'm happy that she made a comment about the fact that CSIR is big. So now we are going into CSIR. Okay. We want to see how big the CSIR is in their manifesto. And permit me to say that, as I indicated before I even asked the question, one of the thrusts of the CSIR strategy plan is to increase visibility of the CSIR. And for me, I think we can do as much. But then if government amplifies CSIR, that is where our visibility is going to increase. Now, as I indicated earlier, your manifesto really thrives on using research. But we don't see any concrete actions where there is this building of partnership with research institutions. For example, when you look at your manifesto, you make key mentions of certain institutions, especially you have a section on institutional strengthening and something like that. And you mention institutions such as UDS, Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, the Veterinary Services Directorate, Pont Tamale, and then Kofi Annan Peace, International Center of Peace Excellence. Like, you are very specific. You also come to the session where you are de-risking agriculture and affordable financing. You mention companies at the Ghana Commodity Exchange, Ghana Incentive-Based Risk Sharing for Agricultural Lending, and the Ghana Exim Bank. Now, when we come to research, let me tell you how many times CSIR was mentioned in your manifesto. Twice. And the first one was in the list of acronyms. And then the second one was in a section where you were talking about water supply, like rural water supply. That is the only time that our big CSIR, the most formidable national research organization, was mentioned in the manifesto. So then I asked myself, how important is the CSIR to your government? And then, so partnering with research institutions was very big. And GAEC, you are here. Your name is also not there. Yes, your GAEC is not. So this morning, I intentionally, yes. She said she's going to stop me. There is no mention of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. There is no mention. And even CSI is just in passing. So what we really want to know, and be assured, how are you really prioritizing research when you are not even emphatic on how you are going to strengthen institutions such as CSIR, but then there is a mention of other institutions that you want to strengthen. But when it comes to CSIR, we are not there.
Okay, so we had mentioned that you're going to invest in basic and applied sciences, and I think that is the main thing the CSIR does, and supports those research for development as well. And in many places, we have also used the term sustainable and socio-economic development. And if you say we didn't mention the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, that's why I said I will stop you right there. Because we have mentioned that we are going to support the continuation and improve the nuclear power program. We had mentioned that we are going to invest in space science and technology. And that was not mentioned once. In other places, when we were talking about mining sector, we had also mentioned working with the Ghana Space Science and Technology to identify and fight galamsey. So although the name Ghana Atomic Energy Commission is not mentioned, that so many institutions under the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission that is mentioned, because they work, and we even mentioned the food preservation using irradiation and all of that. And they are all under the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. So
no, but if you are not specific, Pont Tamale can come and say that we saw our name in the manifesto that you do A, B, C, and D for us, but then we are not seeing it. But GAEC cannot, though you've mentioned in vague, and GAEC will assume that they are the Atomic Energy Commission, but we want to see our name there. That is when we know that we are relevant. That is when we will know that, hey, the government knows about us, the government is thinking about us. So that's all that I'm trying to say. Because if you want to drag this, in the Red Gold Initiative, that's the oil palm. You mention institutions like the Benso oil palm. You don't mention OPRI, the Oil Palm Research Institute of Ghana. So that's what I'm trying to say. I think we should be more intentional about trying to put research in the spotlight. Otherwise, when we are a bit implicit, then nobody knows about us. And if the CSIR wants to increase its visibility, if researchers want to have their voices amplified, if you do not amplify them for us, we can't amplify them on our own. We can only do but much. Prof, you have anything to add?
Oh, not much, but I want to disagree a little bit. with you, if you think that we need to put research at the forefront, we have. We have because when you go to the mining session, we've talked about cleaning the waters, the Galamsey legacy. And we cannot do that without you. Cannot do that. So the mere fact that perhaps, and I told you we are now preparing the implementation plan, and I'll make sure the name is mentioned at every line.
Please do. It's very important for us. Please do.
Just to appease you. Yes. But I mean, we've taken care of that.
Yes. Thank you very much. So when you mention institutional strengthening, we want to see the names there that we can hold you tag for it. So thank you very much for that. Now we want to move on to some cross-cutting issues, and then quickly I want to really pick on mining. It's a really big thing right now. And we want to understand what the NDC has for this illegal mining that is polluting our waters, and how do you want to collaborate with the CSIR, especially with the Water Research Institute, to be able to curb this menace and solve the menace forever? Yes, on illegal mining, yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. So yes, it's a national crisis, and we need to treat it as such. But we need to understand why we are here. And I can deduce 3 main reasons why we are where we are. Mining has been with us over 2,000 years. We've never seen any calamity as it is today. So something might have gone wrong. And 3 reasons account for that. First, the actors of the mining industry have changed. Secondly, technology has changed. And third, the geography of the operational theft has also changed. Let's look at the actors. In time past, we have community members moving around their community and digging and searching, harvesting gold. Today, the community members have metamorphosed into international bodies. We have Chinese, we have Burkinabes, we have Nigerians, all being part of the game. Even within the nationals, we have moved from ordinary citizens who were looking for survival to, let me use the word, politicians, those with money who are investing, making fortunes from them. Those who used to be in there initially were looking for survival. Harvesting, the name speaks for itself. Galamsey, gather small and sell. That has been crucified to become Galamsey. Be that as it may, today it has changed. People are investing millions into the business, so the actors have changed. Then in terms of technology, when they were using pickaxes, and those rudimentary technology, today we have moved on. We are using chamfine, excavators, and what have you. The destruction will not be the same. Then finally, it's where they are operating. Where in time past they were operating at the fringes of the forest and harvesting gold. Today, they are harvesting gold on the riverbed. They block the river channel, divert the river, and mine within the riverbed. That is the problem. That's the reason why we are seeing what we are seeing. So what do? And the geography changed because, for example, in 2023, the act was repealed. 2462 was repealed to enable people to mine in the forest. So 35 of our virgin forests are all gone. So if we want to solve this problem, if we are to stop gaslighting and take the bull by the horn, then we should identify the actors in the game and stop them, which is very easy to do. Very easy because those who are operating have been given license. So I've always challenged that this is not illegal mining. They have license to mine, but they are mining illegally. So trying to solve is very easy. Those that we have given licenses should be identified. In fact, yesterday, my team was able to draw all the 35 forest reserves using Google Earth. We were able to identify each and every one operating in the forest and the level of destruction. We know them. So let's call them to order. Let's allow the institutions to work. We will be saved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. I think we have a collective responsibility to preserve our environment, and not just for our use, but also for the generations to come. Our attitude towards the environment generally has not been a good one as the people of Ghana. Mining is not only done in Ghana. In fact, small-scale mining is not only done in Ghana. But we've not had any problem with the water bodies and the degradation of lands in other countries other than Ghana. Mining is done in the USA. In fact, they do the most mining. China, Australia, South Africa, where I schooled, they all do mining. They do small-scale mining as well. So for me, we have to be serious with our laws. We have to really enforce the laws that we have. Very good environmental laws. We need to enforce them and make sure that we're doing the right thing. It's just unfortunate that those who are supposed to enforce the law are the same people who are rather involved in this galamsey or small-scale mining menace. And well, the NDC manifesto, it's there that we will reclaim the lands of these galamsey sites, rehabilitate them into agricultural lands, and make forests out of them in accordance with the global environmental plans of afforestation. So we will do our best as much as possible with the degraded land already to reclaim and reuse them. But as we speak now, we need to enforce the right laws. We know we're not supposed to mine 50 meters to a river body, but people mine right inside the river body. And we know the people. Somebody knows somebody who is doing this, and we just have to enforce the law and make sure that the right thing is done for our country. So that's what I want to add there.
Thank you very much for that. And yes, we need to identify the actors, and we hope that if you are giving the nod, if the government change, as you said, whether to change back to NPP or changing back to NDC, we would like to see that this menace has been kept, has been stopped, and then we also would want to see the leveraging on science and technology here. So last, I think our time is really running up. I would like to just pick on something last, which is a very important issue. My boss is here. She's very big on gender. So we'd like to touch a bit on gender and then women in STEM. So we all know the challenge, me and you, we know the challenge with women in STEM. Less than 30% of our research staff, and then even all persons in STEM field are women. In your manifesto, it's actually encouraging how you focus very much on gender, and not just gender as a male, female, but then people with disability, and then all that gender dimension that we see, which is good. Marginalized group, exactly. So, which is very impressive. We see the Women Development Fund, and then we see other elements where you want to entrepreneurs and all. But I was also looking for, and especially you being in STEM, I was also really curious to know how you were going to work towards bridging the gender STEM gap. It's really a challenge even for the CSIR. When you count the women scientists here, we are few compared to the male scientists. So how do you intend with your government to be able to have efforts in bridging the gender STEM gap that we have here in Ghana?
Yeah, thank you. So we all appreciate the gender gap challenge in especially STEM. And there are a number of programs that are already running. So it's explicit on science or gender gap issues on science, but we're general on supporting women and marginalized groups, empowering them in various sectors. So science definitely fall under that. So the various programs that are already running would be encouraged and improved, and will pursue the other areas. So the introduction of the Women's Development Bank is generally to support women, especially most of them who are into the trading sectors, to come up or empower them in that way where they can access loans if it's a small amount in a certain range without any interest, and if it's in a bigger range with a small amount of interest, lower than the traditional bank loan. So that's what the Women's Development Bank sees to use to support or empower women in that way. And then we have also policies for women in the Zongos, and the marginalized group, the disability, people living with disabilities and all of that also, as you rightly mentioned. But as I said, we're not very explicit on science for women or gender gap closing, because we already have a lot of programs running. We just need to continue to encourage our female factor to take up science as a career and also as a vocation. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And following up on that very quickly, you have the Women in Agriculture program, which I remember very well. And we have Women in Agriculture and Development as one of the directorates under Ministry of Food and Agriculture. So when I read to that point, I was just asking myself, how is that synergy going to be? Is the Women in Agriculture program going to be separate from the Women in Agriculture Development? How are you planning to synergize these two initiatives? Already one and working functionally. Do you plan to work together, or is this an entirely different program that you're looking at?
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, as you rightly read, so there's special mention on it because we know how involving women are in agriculture, the whole value chain, not just the weeding on the farm or cultivating the crops, but through the process and packaging of the food, women are very much involved. So we highlighted that aspect as a support for at the Ministry of Agric, the women's section. So it's more like empowering the unit more for women. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've come to the end of our first part. We'll be coming to the audience to ask some questions. But before we do that, I want to just re-echo the CSIR and then pick some of your programs, which I think that each of the CSIR institutes will play a role. So I want you to really listen to me very carefully here so that you don't forget as the next time you are doing your programs. So the first that I would like to highlight is the Yeridua program, which is a vegetable development project. And that we really believe that the Crop Research Institute, the Soil Research Institute, and Savannah Agricultural Research Institute will really play a very key role in that. And then we also see that you want to really do, like germplasm and all that. We have the CSIR, Plant Genetic Resources Research Institute, a fantastic institute that can actually also deal with that. And then if you care to know, the CSIR has an ICT institute, like an ICT-related institute, which has not been very resourced. And the way you are so big on digitalization, it will really be nice that you kind of work closely with the CSI, Institute of Scientific and Technological Information, that is INSTI, to be able to drive your ICT project. And please don't just listen to me. Please, we want you to take action, especially for some of these institutes to revamp them, yes. And then for your agricultural mechanization through your farm services center that you want to create, the CSIR Institute of Industrial Research is very formidable and well-vexed. They also deal with a lot of energy issues and then electricity, biogas, and all that. For your evidence-based policy making, come to my institute. That's the CSIR, Science and Technology Policy Research Institute. We evaluate government programs. We provide the research evidence to be able to inform your policies and programs. And we also design policies. So please, don't forget the CSIR step 3. Yes, please do when I'm done. And then you also have a number of livestock development programs. We have the CSIR Animal Research Institute. Please, we want you to collaborate with them. And then for your forest reclamation and then environmental conservation, we have our CSIR Forestry Research Institute of Ghana that can actually assist you in that. You have a fisheries, aquaculture, and blue economy program. We have the CSIR Water Research Institute, which is really capacitated to support in that arena. And then your building and road project, we have the CSIR Building and Road Research Institute that can also come in very handy to support you. I come back to the red gold. That's the oil palm project. I really loved it when I got the red gold. So we have the Oil Palm Research Institute. Please don't just go to Benson Oil Palm Production. Come to the Research Institute. That would really drive your research on this red gold project. And then also for food processing and quality check, we have the CSIR for Food Research Institute. So this is a CSIR. We are big, and we are big. And then we expect that the government will use us. Use us. Don't allow only donors use us. We want you to use us because you pay our salaries. So we want to be used, that we know that government is really using us to drive their change. So on that note, thank you very much for the first session. So I'll call Darrell and the Shadrach to pick up a question from the floor, and then yes, we actually left about 25 minutes or 30 minutes for questions. So please ask your questions, and she said we can do whatever we want with them. So don't be afraid. I think I've done justice to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, a round of applause for all of them. They did very, very well. At one point, I was wondering if Dr. Justino was trying to pin them to respond, or that she's actually passing a message through them to the actual man at the top. Anyway, we've heard their positions and their contributions to all their questions. I'm sure you also have one or two on your mind you'd want them to respond to. While they're still here, can we please, just so that, okay. I saw your hand up first, and so we're going to come from left and work our way towards right. And so, could we have you come up to the microphone, please? Thank you very much. You tell us your name, and then please straight to the point. Let's try as much as possible to make it as brief as possible. Yes, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, all protocol observed. Thank you for honoring our invitation and refresh it to hear from you. Hello? Okay. The two panelists, Professor Kuche and Ababio, all good friends. So, what will the next NDC do through procurement to fund research? And I'm deliberate about this question, through procurement. Because we are the National Research Organization, and as my colleague just read to you, there are 13 specialized institutes that have the men, or let me say the expertise, to deliver. And they have gone through very good training in their areas of expertise to be able to deliver all kinds of studies from you've heard my colleague mention the various institutes. And I say procurement because very often you have national or public research or studies that ought to be done, that you would think that as an indirect way of funding a very underfunded national asset, you would offer these opportunities to the National Research Organization to undertake. However, you would have these jobs advertised, and we have to compete on a commercial basis to get these jobs or these assignments. Whereas these assignments, as I said, could be used as an indirect way of funding research organizations or the studies on this. And this is because usually when we go to compete on the commercial basis,
sorry, sir.
There are all kinds of political economy issues that we are unable to handle. So let me leave it there. I'm sure the question has been made. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And so I'll take 2 more questions, and then I'll get the panel to respond. And so, sir, your name, and then please straight to the point.
My name is Proven from Ghana Atomic Energy and then Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute. During Professor Ababio's submission on the quota to the research fund, he mentioned that there's going to be a finance committee and implementation plan. My question is that will those finance committee have some checks that whatever is then proposed that, okay, research is going to get 2% or 3%, is actually get to those places? Because over the years, this doesn't happen. When you go chasing the money, you just hear stories, oh, well, they paid your salaries and this and that, and doesn't get them. Then question number 2 is that at GSSTI, we have an AI and digitization unit that, if resourced, can do many of the wonderful things that are put in that digitization units of the manifesto. So Professor Nanama knows about us, so I think that it should really be part of it so that we can really get part of that cake, if you get a nod. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And then I'll take, yes. Okay, we'll take that, and then I'll come to the panel.
Them some kind of memo of what our priorities are for them to factor, telling them they may forget. Write to them from the council that these are the areas that really are on our hearts. Please, can you see to that? That would be perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Prof has spoken. And so we'll come to the panel and get Prof Ababio and Prof Brown to respond to the questions from the floor. Sorry.
So thank you very much. Very important questions. And let me say that I share with you your sentiments about procurement. So my personal experience, there was a call for a proposal to look at the disaster risks confronting Ghana. Eventually, there's some guy in Singapore won the contract and prepared the so-called risk report. Then I was sitting somewhere at Legon. Then they approached me to review the report. I declined. I declined on the basis that if I'm not fit to do the report, then I cannot review that report. It is a huge challenge that we all face. And I can understand that even before the call leaves the ministry, they have already targeted somebody that is supposed to do the work. I cannot sit here and profess a simple solution. All what I'm going to say is that it's something that we have all experienced, and we fight very hard that we try and put it into the lab. The second point was about the research fund. I'm sorry if I did say that there's going to be an economic committee, finance committee on that. No. I said that in one of our meetings, the finance committee was asked on what basis they were thinking of 5%. Because we couldn't come to a compromise, and I said that the fragment have said that in case he wins the election, he's going to hold a dialogue on the economic position of the country. And on that dialogue, some of these nitty-gritty, once you know what is in the kitty, then you can know how you will share it. We don't want to behave like Kwekwa Nancy, who was going to buy a horse, and one son said, when they give birth, he liked it, and he shouted, "Don't kill my baby horse." Let's get there, then we can know how much we can conveniently earmark for research.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
May I add a few? So we share definitely the same discomfort with procurement laws in the country. So it's not just even about the position of contracts or consultants, it's also procuring goods and services for our projects and in the universities have been very difficult and cumbersome. I believe that as a country, we should actually give very specific or special projects to specific expertise. And of course, as you said, we share the same sentiment. It should not be broadly advertised, and people who are not qualified but they can sweet talk will take it like Prof's experience getting a project to review. We have experienced this in many institutions, even in the country. When I was working at the Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute, it's still a problem there where institutions are using satellite images and applying it differently for their use. But it's the same source of image procured differently by different institutions, the same national fund, the same money from, different institution budget, procuring the same source of image but processing them differently. So I'll use an example. Forestry Commission will procure the same image. So one picture of this room, the interest is about the chairs. So they process it for the number of chairs here. Then Ministry of Roads and Transport will procure the same one picture, and their interest is the roads in the room. So we really have to come together as an institution to deal with this procurement issue. The difficulty is, if you are the director, you have your cut, so you don't want to pick from the same source. These are difficult conversations to have, but if you really want to deal with our situation, our attitude, we have to be bold and talk about them. So government, or let's say political decisions, can be very little in these issues, but then the institutions, the individual institutions we deal with, they normally manage some of these procurement issues. And of course, as I said, the NDC is committed. So anything about science, we are going to really be very serious to make things easy for all of us to move forward.
Thank you very much, Professor Nanama, responding to issues relating to procurement. Before we come back to the floor for some further questions, let's acknowledge the presence of some special individuals amongst us, as well as some sister organizations. And so with us here is Dr. Michael Abusakara Foster, an agronomist and also a politician. Thank you very much. And we have Mrs. Josephine Geraldo, CSIR Director of Audit. If you're here, please give us a wave. So also is Professor Mike Osei Achaneboa, Director, CSIR Water Research Institute, please. And we also have Nuclear Regulatory Authority here present. Please, if you're here, give us a wave. Thank you so very much. And so we're coming back to the floor for some more questions. If you have one, please make your way towards the microphone. And as much as possible, let's keep it brief and straight to the point. Don't forget to tell us your name, though.
Thank you. The name is Wilhelmina Kwe.
Thank you.
And I have three key points of contribution and also questions. The first one has to do with the resource in R&D. And I heard you right when you talked about the R&D, the National Research Fund. It ought not to be just the National Research Fund. We need that. But you also agree with me that the 5% that you are proposing, it will be very difficult. But here are some ways. The contract research, collaborative research, and also incentivizing the public and the private sector arrangement to be able to, resource our research. So please, in the detailed plan that you are going to have, let's have some breakdown as to how you are going to raise the 5%. Now we are at 0.3%. And you mentioned 0.5% as the expectation. We want something more than that. The AU is saying 1%. But even that 1% is pretty difficult. And we've been at it for the past 10 years. So please, let's break it down and see how we can mobilize resources. My second point has to do with private sector involvement in R&D. We always have the problem of bridging the gap between research and academia with the private sector. Could you please elaborate on this, how you are going to help us incentivize the private sector to be able to bridge the gap between research, academia, and the industry? Last one, coordination of R&D is a problem. And it's one of the problems that we always list on our challenges. How do we coordinate research in Ghana? Please, 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 we don't need new institutions. We need to resource the existing institutions. We need to iron the existing institution to be able to partner very well, to be able to strengthen the linkages that we need to, forge linkages between all the silos and silo projects that we are having. We don't need to duplicate research to waste resources.
Thank you very much. And then next question.
Thanks for the opportunity. I respond to Bempo and Sanyara Warman. I'm from the Nuclear Regulatory Authority. My question is, do you envision that nuclear energy will have a role to play in your 24-hour economic policy? If it does, what length of the story will you tell by the time you are leaving office in 2028, after 4 years, since we know that the nuclear story is a very long story to tell?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. The CSIR has a big challenge.
Your name,
yeah,
please.
my name. I'm Hilary Mrekubote,
Okay.
with Crop Research Institute.
Thank you.
The CSIR has a big challenge with our lands. We have a lot of encroachment issues. And I know one of your own, the MP Honorable, is doing a lot of work in that respect. Can your next government assure the CSIR that the lands that have been earmarked for research remain the property of the CSIR? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll take that one and then I come to the panel.
I'm not trying to play the wolf at Doubting Thomas, but looking at the research funding.
Sir, you didn't tell us your name.
My name is Oseachune Buana, CSIR.
Wonderful.
Looking at the science, technology, and innovation and the research, some of the discourse that were made, I have a big challenge with it, even though Prof did some promise. Now, if you look at what he said, how the monies will be mobilized, he did indicate that when we look at the kitty, then we'll see what we can allocate. Now, you will bear with me that anytime a political party, a new government comes, then you talk about the fact that there is no money because the money has been consumed by the previous government. So in that case, we really want to look at the kitty, then it's going to take us a long time for us to get any money for research funding. And that is why just now did say that for a particular organization specifically made 50 million, it tells you the extent with which this is being faced, the seriousness. So I think that that must be looked at. And then when I also talk about strengthening of institution, research institution, you realize that no research institution was actually mentioned over there.
So it looks to me that in terms of research funding and in terms of STI, it looks that it's being downplayed. Prof, you have said that you are going to work on this. I must say that you have a very difficult work to do if you really have to speak, because the bases are not there at all. So you need in order to, because the
if he gets the slot to rule the country again, that is not negotiable. The reason why, and I want to correct this impression, we've not settled on 5% because the media is here. Let's get that point right. So I'm saying that no, it doesn't. It is. I recall 2 weeks ago, I made a comment about the senior high school. Then before I could say Jack, university lecturer says SHS students cannot do algebra and arithmetic. Meanwhile, none of that. I did not say that. What I said was, free SHS is compromising the quality of our products. And which is not perhaps the one who said it, it wasn't the message. But if it is a message, it has long been articulated by the World Bank Report 2023. That's why I want to make this point clear. You can only give what you have. But then we have prioritized science and technology. And we are prioritizing research. That's why we are very sure on that. That is our priority. It is our priority because we have believed that any policy that is not underpinned by empirical research is bound to fail. And we are committed in doing that. So let's rest assured. And I said here that the implementation will bring out the nitty-gritty. And all these are going to feed into what we are doing. And I hope once the implementation plan comes out, some of these concerns will die down. It might not go completely. As the moderator always said, I'm not convinced. But it will die down. Then Madam also talked about the third point. Coordination. It's a big issue. If you look at the amount government spends every year to graduate schools throughout the country, the 15 tertiary universities, to do research, it's mind-boggling. But one should ask, what ends up with those research that students do? They remain in on our shelves. So that's the reason why the National Research Council has a role to play in bringing our individual research and the one that's been done across universities into conversation so that we will know what is happening, so that we don't repeat ourselves. And I think that once the council is well established and is functioning, some of these things can be ironed out. The question on land, my good friend, you're right. I know the challenge that the CSR is going through at Adenta, the Animal Research Institute. But it's not even you alone. University of Ghana land at Liprek. And the serious aspect of it is that no poor man can encroach on government land. Everybody knows that this is government land. So the encroachers If it's just like me, the building will be pulled down immediately. It is always those who have some agency, those who have political, economic, and social power that encroach on our lands. It is a big issue, and our friends from Atomic Energy will tell you, even within the wetlands, there are wetlands. People are putting up filling stations today, as we speak. We will push for it. We will make sure we push it up, and I hope we can achieve something out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, may I add on the nuclear power as contributing to the 24-hour economy? So it's very explicit in the manifesto that the NDC will facilitate the transition of nuclear power generation as a primary source of a low carbon energy source to Ghana's energy mix. And as you may have heard about the 24-hour economy, companies who will sign up onto it are going to be given incentives, including low tariff of electricity. So power is a very great need for the 24-hour economy implementation, and definitely the NDC had even mentioned in the manifesto to promote, invest, and also transition our energy sources for nuclear power as well. So be rest assured, the NDC will continue to develop the nuclear power of Ghana and make use of it as we need for our development in the country. So there was, Madam also had mentioned involvement of the private sector into, yes. So Prof mentioned that most of our research will land on the shelf anyway, and as the other MC who introduced me had mentioned, the many research we do, and many of us are researchers, some have done so many other publications as well. If we are in collaboration with industry, we believe that there are a lot that we can implement. Even with the CSIR, the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, there are a lot of research going on that we have practical products, but then we need industry to scale up these products and for the development of the country. We don't have it that way. And the question I said I was going to ask you, that you should have added agric to your manifesto dialogue. So we know that, of course, we know CSIR does a lot of research into agriculture. And the NDC manifesto is very heavy on agriculture because we feel it's a one-stop shop that will transform our economy. So we cannot do it with any other institution, especially the research part of it, other than the CSIR and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. So that's why I keep saying you should be rest assured, even though your name is not mentioned much of it, but then we are going to work with you in terms of the research. The other oil production company, they are into the production of it, but then doing the research to getting the products that will be useful, needful for the country, we can only fall on CSIR and then the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would take 2 more questions. Please, Madam, come up and take the mic. Because this program is also being streamed live on the internet, we will give that opportunity to those who are following online to also ask questions if they so wish. And so I would plead with Dr. Shadrach to coordinate that for us. Once they come in, we'll take them up and make sure it gets to the panel. Thank you very much. Good morning. Okay. Yeah, nuclear.
When it comes to the research fund,
yeah,
I'd like to know what percentage of the research fund will be dedicated to regulatory research. Regulators must also do research to enhance the work that they do. And then the second one has got to do with, the NDC is committed to making the nuclear power story come true. What are the plans to strengthen the regulator, since we need staff, laboratories, and then good salaries, so our staff are not compromised? Because already we are losing our staff. So we'd like to know what they have for us, so at least we'd all be at peace, and then we can, and work on it. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I think she's the only one. Yes.
My name is Benjamin Adote from the CSR head office. My question is on commercialization of scientific technologies. Yeah, my question is, what is the NDC's position on patronizing research outputs from the scientific institutions? Are we going to expect a time when the government in power will call the Director General? We have this farm we have these seeds to supply. Can OPRI or PGRI supply seeds, seedlings, fertilizer, or even involving CSIR in consultancies? Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there are no more hands up, okay, I'll take yours, and then we come to the panel.
My name is Etonyo Agbeku. With the research fund, this is the political year, and so we want to find out what could be the timeline for the implementation of the research fund. What could be the timelines? Because for other industries, I've heard the NDC presidential candidate giving timelines like the 100 days of my administration will do A, B, C, D. And so with this research fund, what is the timelines for the NDC? Thank you. So we can hold you on to those timelines if you don't implement them. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let me take the last one first. It was very explicit. The passage of the bill has much to do with Parliament. Our duty is to push it and push it very fast. I'm not very sure if I can give you a specific timeline, but take this in trust. We are all eventual beneficiaries of this research fund, and I'm interested. Personal interest, if you like, put it that way. So we would wish that Parliament does it even before they break, and it's even possible. But let's agree to disagree. There's no timeline given at this stage, but it's a priority. It's a priority because if we think that we want to use science as our bedrock, then we should empower people to do the scientific research that we want. So we can only lay claim to that acronym, science as our guiding principle. Only and only when we have empowered the scientist to do what he knows best. And that's what we are looking for. With the two other contributions, the other one, the commercialization
of research.
In fact, let me put it in my pocket and go and work on that, because it's very important we come out clean on that. As of now, I might not be in a very good position to answer that concretely. Let me put it and work on it. Whatever it is, Madam can get some response for you. But then it's a very good point, and we've taken it on board. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I want to take the nuclear regulatory aspect. So that will go into the implementation plan that we are still developing. So as a manifesto statement, it is on the fact that we are going to mainstream the use of nuclear power. So in the implementation plan, that is when it will come out as to empowering the regulatory bodies. It's not only nuclear, we also have the Food and Drugs Authority and other regulatory bodies to also empower for our national development. So that will come in the implementation phase. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, so we're going online. We have 2 questions from our online participants. The first one coming from Camden Foster. What is the NDC's plan or agenda for revamping cotton production and research in Ghana? That's one. Cotton production in Ghana and research. And the second question is, would like to ask them to make the 5% commitment to the research fund. The government could use it as a way to continually engage the CSIR, undertake some activities. So there's a question and a suggestion, contribution in that regard. So let's look at the first one. What will be your agenda or your position on cotton production and research?
Yeah, I think cotton was mentioned not just once, but one of the tree crop production that the NDC will focus on. So it will, there's a mention of it, so which means that we're going to work, so we'll revamp that and revamp our textile industries as well in the country. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Professor Ababio, would you like to add a word or two to that? The second one has to do...
tread cautiously and stick to the position of the party, let's get to the table and see what is there.
Right.
And see what is there.
Right.
But the has made a commitment to make science and technology a priority. And you can only make that a priority if you have resourced those scientists to do what they do best. And I think that we will get there very soon.
Thank you very much. Very unfortunate, but given our schedule, we're going to have to plead with you to write that up, and we will forward it to them so that we can move on with the day's schedule. Thank you very much for understanding. And at this point, I'd like to say this as I hand over to Dr. Shadrach, that if you did not catch anything at all from this presentation, one operative word started and concluded: commitment. Take that home. The NDC, as we understand, is committed, and so we're going to hold them to commitment and make sure they are committed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Let's put our hands together. So the panel would like to recess, and then we'd like to have some concluding statement on our session today. So yeah, the word has really been commitment. And then it has also been consultation. So they can't really commit, they need to consult. So we are hoping that the consultation will definitely reach us, and this will be the first of many series of engagement with government. So to be clear, the 521st Act of Ghana's Parliament, centered on 26th of November 1996, is the CSIR Act. And the Act re-established the CSIR as the first and the key research institution mandated to pursue the implementation of government policies. Mandated to pursue, I want us to really listen, mandated to pursue the implementation of government policies on scientific research and development. So this is why you cannot do without CSIR. And this underscores its essential role in driving national development and industrial. Have you really witnessed this? Have we felt it as a scientific community? I leave the response to all of us. And then as a scientific community and a council, that is the heart and the national research development. We expect the NDC government, if given the opportunity during the December 7 polls, to 1, prioritize and fully leverage CSR potential by aligning national policies with CSIR research capabilities in food, agriculture, health, energy, ICT, and industrialization. We also expect that you provide adequate and sustained funding for making bold commitment to supporting research and operationalization of the National Research Fund and other funds that support research. and also ensure policy continuity across administration, which is very dear to us and which is crucial to ensure long-term progress in science and innovation. Finally, I really expect your government to prioritize engagement with us. So we want to see government calling us to the table and not we calling government to the table like we've done today. There is no value in science when it is not used for the benefit of society and government. And government is the best business. We wish your team the best. Best of luck in the upcoming elections. And may Science for Development win at the end of the day. Thank you very much for indulging us. And it's been a pleasure having you all. Thank you, Prof.
Let's give it up once again for the two professors representing the NDC and our very own Dr. Justina Onoma. Let's give it up once more for them. All too soon, come to the end of the presidential dialogue, and you can understand that we were able to make a lot of lemonade from the lemons that we had. So we cannot complain too much. So thank you so much for your time. Let me appreciate the Animal Research Institute. Talking of commercialization, right from here we'll have a little snack, and then they've been so generous to us. Dr. Ansa, I appreciate you once again for providing us with fresh yogurt. Fresh yogurt. It's been fantastic, very fantastic support he's given us. And as you can all see, some bottles under your chairs. These are CSR cool bottled water. In fact, well filtered, pathogen free. If I well packaged, you can understand. So please, our director is here. He's doing a fantastic job. Professor Mike Osei Akinebua. The na was missing in the first one, but now we brought it. So please, patronize us. We are doing a lot of commercialization with this. And please, whenever you come, you have the opportunity. Make sure that CSR cool is in your plan when you are having meetings. All right, so all too soon, we want to once again thank everyone for your time and attention. You've made it possible for us to have the first edition. God willing, next week, Tuesday, we'll be having the second edition. We're hosting the presidential candidate of the NPP. We hope that we will still have the numbers coming in to make a case. And out of whatever we discuss here, we're going to issue, a summary, a document, and then we'll put it on file. Then one day we'll hold them to it, that you said this and that's what will be our bargaining chip. So just to end it all, we would be happy that we hear the closing remarks from our very chairman of this event, in the person of Professor Paul Pinnock Bosu. Let's give it up for him as he comes.
Thank you very much, President of RSA. You will all agree with me that we have indeed made lemonade out of lemon. I wonder whether it was really lemon. Maybe it was some kind of citrus, but not lemon. In the good book, there's a place where we read, and I quote, "Now all has been said. What is the conclusion of the matter?" So that's what I want our honorable representatives of the presidential candidate to keep in mind. Where is this going to go? What would they do about all that we have discussed here, the questions, the issues? Would His Excellency, the former president, hear these issues? And how would that get to them? Would the Honorable Vice President presidential running mate, Professor Nano Puku Ajiman, would she hear this, and how would that happen? Let me dare to say that with the Honorable General Mosquito, the chairman of the NDC, they may not be in government, but believe it or not, if NDC should win, they would have a big stake behind the scenes. Would they hear it? Would Fifi Kwete, the general secretary of the party, and everybody else in the law people or in the constitutional matters, we have something we call the spirit and the letter. It seems to me that today we have done the letter. Everything, the responses, the issues, fantastic. The letter, we have excelled. How will the spirit work from here? But we want to thank them and want to thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
So on that thankful note, I think we cannot stop thanking everyone for coming. We would be taking a group photograph right after here before we go out for a snack. We would be grateful to have our Madam Genevieve Yankee to give a vote of thanks. Please give it up for her. She is actually the director of administration for the CSR. So all the administrative work, and she's a fantastic, I always say a fine lady. Yes, she's called Madam. Please give it up for her as she climbs. Thank you.
I'll use the word fantastic. I like the word fantastic. So maybe I'll copy it later. Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the Director General for CSR, please accept our heartfelt thanks to every single person who has made this august occasion. We acknowledge that the presence of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama would have been the icing on the cake. However, you agree with me that the two professors, Prof. Abebio and Prof. Nana Kluche, have done justice to the manifesto of the NDC. They have given us ample insights and adequately, maybe to borrow DG's word, the letter has been solved. They have addressed our questions in relation to science and technology and other key areas of the economy. The presence of dignitaries such as our chairman, Prof. Adabo, and Dr. Abu Sankara, the CSR directors, key stakeholders like GAEC, that is Ghana Atomic Energy, Nuclear Regulatory Authority, CSR staff, NDC supporters, I'm sure they are here, members of the scientific community and the media fraternity, no doubt contributed to the success of this engagement. Once again, please accept sincere appreciation for making time to join us. We wish you Godspeed and safe journey back home. Thank you very much. Fantastic.
So that was a very fantastic delivery. Thanks so much, Madam Genevieve Yankee, for that vote of thanks you've given. And I believe that we cannot stop thanking everyone here. Like I said, she's a fantastic lady. Yes. All right. We want to take the closing prayer. We started with God, and indeed God has been good to us. The weather has been clear all through, and we've had very fruitful discussions. Without much ado, I would invite my brother, Dr. Hilary Meko-Bote, to give us a closing prayer.
Thank you, moderator. Please, shall we humbly be on our feet? We've sat for quite a while as we pray. Our dear Lord God Almighty, we thank you this afternoon. Indeed, once again, you've shown that you are the Alpha and Omega, You began with us, and truly you brought us to a successful end. We thank you for the lives of the candidate, our former president, John Dramani Mahama, and the running mate, and his representative that came, Prof. Kluche. We pray, thank you for their lives and the delivery they've given unto us this morning up to now. A lot has been said. Oh Lord, we pray that your will be done. We pray commit the entire team of the NDC, even as they go around the country to campaign, into your hands. We pray that you grant them traveling mercies. Let we hear not any bad news. At the end of the day, we pray that you, Lord, will elect for this country a man that you have in heart that will do good to this nation. In fact, we have said a lot here concerning science, technology, and innovation, the backbone of driving our economy. We pray, oh Lord, that all that has been said and committed, when they have the opportunity and come to power, they will fulfill. So that not only CSIR will benefit, but the entire nation, Ghana, will grow from strength to strength. Lord, finally, we commit the CSIR leadership also into your hands, O God, that you continue to grant us the wisdom, the knowledge to run the affairs, leading from the council chair to the director general and institute. We pray for wisdom and understood that they can drive this nation in the areas of science, technology, and innovation for the betterment of this country. O God Almighty, even as we depart here, we commit every participant into your hands. Grant us traveling mercies. Take us safely home, and will not forget to thank you. This and many we ask in the name of Jesus. Amen.
So thank you very much, my brother. God bless you. So whilst you are sitting down, the arrangement is that we will do the photography. So maybe you want to lead that. The representatives of NDC, please, we need you featured in almost all the photos that will be taken. And all the directors of CSR, the council chair, everyone should come up so that we can have a very nice. Then I'm informed that with a snack, excuse me, hello, just be seated, they'll bring the snacks to you. Because if you want to go out, it might be haphazardly done. So whilst you are interacting, just wait for the snacks, please. All right, so please, directors and directors.